Most people think of Vikings as relentless raiders, storming coasts with swords and axes. But what they rarely consider is the life behind the sagas. The nights spent in freezing longhouses, the long winters that could kill as efficiently as any enemy army. The Scandinavia of the 8th to 11th centuries was a land of brutal cold. Without electricity, central heating, or modern insulation, surviving a winter night was a constant battle. Yet the Vikings, renowned for their expeditions and raids, mastered a subtle and almost invisible technology that allowed them to thrive despite the bitter northern climate. Tonight we're going to uncover how ordinary animal fat, something many would discard today, became a vital source of heat and light, turning darkness and cold into manageable conditions. Winter in the Viking Age was more than discomfort. It was life-threatening. Longhouses were draughty, poorly insulated, and the sails of their ships offered no protection. A single night without warmth could sap strength, invite disease, and even claim life. Traditional fires were impractical. They consumed enormous quantities of wood, demanded constant attention, and on ships were outright dangerous. This reality forced the Vikings to turn to an abundant and overlooked resource animal fat. The fat lamp was not a candle or a hearth. It was a self-contained heater. Carved from durable stone like soapstone, the bowls were fireproof, deep enough to hold large quantities of fat and shaped to optimize combustion. Melted fat was poured into these bowls and paired with a carefully crafted wick, usually made from sphagnum moss or a combination of moss and flax fibres. The wick absorbed the fat, feeding it steadily to the flame. Unlike a flickering fire, the fat lamp burned consistently, providing warmth and light with minimal oversight. The effectiveness of fat as fuel depended on the skill of the Viking craftsman. Raw fat could not simply be burned, it had to be purified. Rendering involved slowly heating pieces of fat in cauldrons to separate pure tallow from impurities. The result was a dense, slow-burning fuel that emitted minimal odour and smoke. This process required attention and patience, but it ensured that lamps could burn efficiently, evenly, and safely. Fat became a critical logistical resource. It was portable, high in caloric energy, and could serve as fuel for lamps, torches, or even heating clothing. The wick was no less important than the fuel. Vikings discovered that sphagnum moss, abundant in Scandinavian bogs, was ideal for capillary action. When dried and carefully twisted, moss could feed fat to the flame slowly and evenly. Sometimes flax fibres were added for durability. Even subtle treatments, like soaking the wick in salt or ash, were used to prevent rapid combustion. The lamp's longevity depended on the skill of the craftsman in balancing wick size and fat quantity. The result was a system capable of autonomous operation for long hours, a miniature, portable heating solution centuries ahead of its time. The fat lamp was only one piece of the Vikings' survival strategy. Resin, derived from pine wood, was another secret weapon. Used to waterproof ships, seal log houses and preserve wood, resin minimized heat loss and protected vital structures from decay. Mixed with sand or clay, it became a durable mortar. Coating walls, floors and ship hulls with resin ensured that heat from fat lamps remained inside the living or working space. Resin was so vital that controlling its production was often a matter of state, highlighting its value to Viking society. Vikings viewed nothing as waste. Every leftover from hunting, butchering and crafting was repurposed. Impure fat fueled torches, resin strengthened structures. Bones and horns could be mixed with fat to create slow-burning fuel, and even dried manure or leather scraps were converted into usable fire sources. This resourcefulness was not mere thrift. It was survival. Every drop of fat and every fragment of resin had to serve a purpose, creating a society that thrived in a harsh environment through ingenuity and knowledge passed down through generations. In homes, workshops and ships, fat lamps were central to daily life. They allowed craftsmen to work, scholars to write, and families to gather safely and comfortably. In the endless darkness of polar winters, a steady flame was both practical and symbolic, a representation of resilience and mastery over nature. The manufacture of lamps, from stone bowls to rendered fat to moss wicks, was a respected craft. The survival of a household or crew often depended on the skill of these artisans, whose knowledge of materials and processes rivaled any blacksmith or shipbuilder. The Vikings were not merely warriors, they were ingenious engineers, environmental managers, and master craftsmen. The fat lamp, along with the careful use of resin and waste materials, demonstrates a level of technological and social sophistication often overlooked in history. By turning simple, abundant resources into life-sustaining tools, the Vikings ensured that their communities could endure winters, thrive in exploration, and expand their influence across Europe. If you found this dive into Viking ingenuity fascinating, make sure to like this video, leave a comment sharing your thoughts, and share it with friends who love history. Subscribe to The Hard Past so you won't miss future deep explorations into the hidden brilliance of our ancestors. The story of Viking survival is more than legend. It's a testament to human creativity in the face of relentless nature.